Welcome to 4AZ. I'm your host, Tyler McDowell Blanken, and I am joined by a very, very special guest today. He is so many things. For starters, he's a friend, a father, and an amazing educator. I also think he's a future mayor of Tucson, but rest assured, we are going to get into that. I'm joined by the one and only Tommie Clardy III. Tommie, how are you?
Man, well, thank you for the introduction, brother. That's amazing and enticing. I'm doing well, brother. Life is good. God is so great, man. There's so many things going on in the world, Ty, that I can't complain. I'm blessed. I'm blessed with fresh air and three beautiful babies and a wonderful wife and a lot to give to the community that I'm currently serving, man. So, um, I always try to think positive with what's going on in this world, man. It's so much.
You got to. You got to, man. I love all of that for you, Tommie. I can't believe the count's up to three now. You and
Man,
Mariah got three amazing
yo, we
children.
outnumbered.
That I mean, if I'm doing the math, yeah. I think the math checks out on that one. Man, okay, I have so much to ask you about, Tommie. Of course, we're gonna talk education. I also want to
Mhm.
talk about how we met. So
Yes.
when I was preparing for this conversation, the first memory I had was our lunch at Payway
Yeah.
on University in Tucson,
Yeah.
Arizona. For
Yeah.
for those who are
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
for our YouTube fans, viewers right now, my man Tommie just absolutely flashed his U of A gear in front of us. I told him I got the ASU helmet right above me, so we got a little territorial cup rivalry right now as we speak. But Tommie, man, you and I met in Tucson. We met through your dad, actually, who I definitely want to talk about. Your dad is an absolute neighborhood legend,
Mhm.
a hero of the city. Uh, he's an entrepreneur. Like, first, tell us more about your pops and how important he's been to your life.
Oh, for sure, man. We young men of color, man, don't always have that opportunity to have a father present. Um, Especially growing up in Tucson, man. A lot of the cats I grew up with did not have both parents, yet alone a dad. So for me, I would say my dad is since day one laced me up with opportunities to be well connected and have exposure. Some of the things that we do in education is far as showing kids opportunity and putting them in front of people to shape their experiences and shape their mind. But pops, old school, but at the same time, the freshest guy I know to this day. You know what I
Period.
mean? So
Period. The
very
man is
loving.
always stylish.
Yeah, man. So work ethic is bar none, man. Nobody, I would say, can fake pop on that side of the thing. Is relates to becoming a barber, man, and then now having Tommie's Barber and Beauty.
That's
Um,
right. Promote
it's
that
it's
thing.
remarkable, man. He had an opportunity to actually come to my school, Pace High School, Pathways Accelerating Career Experiences in Casa
Saw
Grande.
that. Tell us
His
about that. Yeah,
platform.
you're out in Casa Grande.
Just reached out to the GOAT, man. It was like, look, I need you to come and bless us, share some words of encouragement, and also your story. So we look forward to having Tyler come and bless our kids here in Casa Grande. But that opportunity presents itself for you. But yeah, having a pops role model, um, everything that I could ask for, and the heart of a lion, but only standing 5'9". So um, I can. There's nothing that I can't say that wouldn't um, paint the picture of who he is, man. He's a God fearing man too. That's what I love. He wasn't always that way, and that's something that's important to me. Being look, everybody's day and clock is gonna come. So wanting to ensure that that was a part of his life, man. Because I love my daddy, I love my pops. He got two different names, so he's dad. When it's serious, he's pops. Yo, that's my pops. Yeah, that's pops.
there's there's a distinction depending
Yes.
on the time, the place, the situation. Thank you for sharing that, Tommie. I don't know that I've ever, or at least it's been years since I've asked you about your pops and how you view him, and it's clear the affection you have for him. So many people love your dad. He is Tucson's greatest barber. Like you said, he was working at Al's barber shop. If anyone's been to Tucson, they got to know about Al's barber shop. Legendary spot on Grant Road. And so he used to cut my hair, and then he ended up introducing us, like I said, which we'll get into. But what was it like? And now he owns his own shop, Tommie's Barber and Beauty. Shout out. What was it like growing up the son of a barber? Because I feel like the barber shop is, and forever will be it holds such an important place in the community, in Black culture. What was that like to have a pops who's so well known because of his artistry at the barber shop?
You know, man, when you're a kid, especially as a younger adolescent, I would say I was never starstruck, but I was always of the mind like, this is that guy, right? Like, this is the guy that disciplined, at the same time, lots of love. And as it relates to this, seeing him interact with his customers, clients that became, family. I got a lot of uncles, cousins, brothers, you know what I'm saying? Brothers of the same age. They're not necessarily blood related, but
of course,
just growing up in the barbershop, man, seeing people like Damon Stoudemire, Miles Simon, Big Daddy Kane, so on and so forth, to everyday people, man, it's definitely, I would say, watching my pops operate, smooth, precise, and on his P's and Q's, man. It's been a privilege and an honor, and I look forward to continuing to now take some of, like, my kids, of course, down to the shop. It's always a joy to be in the shop. Just the atmosphere and the vibe, the good times are undefeated. But taking some of these kids I'm working with currently as a counselor in PACE, to see what I had an opportunity to witness every day. I mean, back in Al's barbershop, speaking of Al's, I was the quietest kid. Now people, oh man, he talks, he speaks, he articulates. Oh, okay, wow. People like Stoudemire. Man, I didn't know he talked. Man, I used to play the sticks back in the day. You remember the Nintendo 64 NBA hang time?
Of course I do.
That was my jam in NFL Blitz. So while he was cutting hair, in between haircuts, I will sweep the floor, take out the trash for every barber in the shop. But also, little kids my age would come, or grown folk, adults, and we had little tournaments, man. And
on that little TV, right?
Yeah. Oh
yeah. I remember.
Yes, sir.
Many hours spent at Al's. Man, that's
classic. It's a movie for sure.
It's a movie for sure. I was gonna ask you who's the most famous person you met through your dad at the barber shop. You mentioned Mighty Mouse, right? We got Damon Stoudemire, Miles Simon, Big Daddy Kane, some heavy hitters. Anyone else we're missing?
Miles Simon, Gilbert Arenas,
Region Zero.
A lot of the Wildcats, man. A lot again, for the U of A Wildcats.
Of course.
5 minutes from Wildcats, campus. But also I would say, man, Ty, the way I look at TV shows, right? Everybody got a TV show. Are you tuning in to their TV show? To me, Pops always stood head to toe with these guys that, have made it to the NBA and have that legendary status. So to be his son, and to witness the connection and the interpersonal communication that was going on between those individuals that I mentioned, but also I do remember a quick story. You remember Sean Elliott? You know Sean Elliott, right?
Of course.
Troy,
a legend. We're gonna get into Troy. We're gonna get into Troya talk, Tommy. Don't you worry, brother. Yes.
So when Sean was going through his stuff with his kidneys, when he was forced to retire from the NBA, and then he came back, I remember those days, man. Going to his private condos, and Pops, he making sure he looked right for his game, right? But also, Eugene Edgerson. Eugene played with the Wildcats, but he's also a Harlem Globetrotter. Being at family functions like it's nothing. So to me, being around people of whatever stature, I never really have kind of I would say bow down or been starstruck in that way. Who did get me though?
Who got you?
Mike Epps.
Mike Epps,
bro.
Tell us about
Mike Epps. Came to the shop when he was reporting next Friday.
Oh wow!
So this is when Mike, I felt I know he's had minor roles prior, but Next Friday was that's when he hit the big stage.
That was the breakout. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Mike Epps, because Mike Epps was clowning on everybody, and I was like, okay. Yeah, said something funny. I can't remember what exactly he said, but I got a photo of
Yeah.
that, and I had to send your way.
Oh man, Mike Epps. I did not expect you to drop Mike Epps on us,
Mike
and to
Epps.
see him. I don't know if you saw he and his wife now have a show on HGTV, Buying Back the Block, where
Yes.
they went to his neighborhood, and he's still out here doing great things. It seems.
I got love for him, man. He a real individual. I could say that about him. You
That's
know,
amazing. Well, circling back, Tommy, before we get into Choya tales, so so your dad made the connection, right? And I love your pops. Not only is he amazing at what he does, but like you said, and I think you inherited this trait too. Your dad connects with people, and I think that's so much about being a barber. My grandfather was a barber too.
yes.
Is you have to be good with people, and you have to be able to decipher what they need and what they're looking for. And so your dad had both, where like technically he's so skilled, but then as a people person,
Mm-hmm.
how can you not love Tomcat? Like
Yeah.
he is that guy. Like you said, we call a lot of people the GOAT, but for your pops, it is truly an accurate description. So he connected us. I think this was the first time we met. Correct me if I'm wrong. We were eating that payway on University,
For
right,
sure.
right off campus. And all these years later, it's an absolute blessing and honor to be connecting with you. I want to talk about your K through 12 experience first.
Okay.
So, growing up in Tucson, what was your experience like as a student? Did you know that education would be your future career path?
You know, man, my dream was the NFL. So I had an opportunity to play college ball, of course, and had an opportunity to see cats that I was either better than at one point. Some of them made it, and some of them didn't. Um, I would say when that dream started to become like, look, we're not really trying to do this anymore. Um, I had to find myself. I knew I didn't want to be one of those student athletes in college that got some degree that they could not use. Um, for lack of better words, things like interdisciplinary studies, a communications degree. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you know what you're doing with it, that's one side. But you see a lot of the guys, get degrees that don't really um, punch you through the door. For me, the way I looked at my degree is a ticket. So I had 3 tickets now. I got my associates, business marketing, which I use to this day as a counselor promoting a brand new high school. Um, and also, U of A blessed me with the opportunity to finish up while I became a dad, um, and that was in human services and with a minor emphasis in organizational leadership. So I wanted to get something that was broad enough and not pigeonhole myself, but something that spoke to, look, I see myself as a leader, growing to that top of that ladder, not necessarily wanting to be just one industry. Especially growing up in that shop, man, you learn a lot of sales and negotiation tactics.
I can
So
only imagine.
when I got into education, man, I was working behavioral health, and I was selling shoes to women in Scottsdale. And just the flexibility, I was not solid in the sales world. I didn't know where I was going to be, especially as I, started to add kids to my repertoire. I would say pausing with just the idea of like, how did I get an education? Um, being being open minded, and knowing that I always wanted to make a difference with the youth. And then looking at like, at the high school level, this is when our 14 through 17 and a half, 18-year olds, this is their last resort before it's full throttle as an adult, And so I wanted to be a factor for them and be a presence and be somebody that I can identify with. Growing up in a barbershop, knowing that, it's not a lot of us like, you know, young men of color that, our students can identify with, but also young and hip too, There's something to be said for that. So I took on an opportunity as a paraprofessional, and then Arizona State. So I do got love for ASU. It's all Arizona, everything.
Yeah, could you repeat that, Flash? I missed what you
ASU gave
said.
me a full ride scholarship to get my master's in
Let's,
special education.
let's go.
And
Talk
so,
talk to us about that. I'm so proud of you.
yeah, man. So this is at the time I was taking on a supervisor role to make ends meet, So that way I can see if I wanted to go full throttle in the classroom as a lead teacher. And I was working in a community-based classroom, which I had no idea what this was, but I stepped into it, and immediately I seen that there was a young lady, Hispanic young lady, that was being discriminated against. No services were being offered, no strategies coming from the behavioral health world, and they were looking to boot her out of the classroom and out of the school. And so she's one of my superstar students, where I asked the teacher, "Hey, look, I know I'm the new cat on the block. I ain't been here for 15 years, but it doesn't look like there's any true strategies in place, and you guys are not really, serving it well. Let me be everything except taking her to the restroom, as far as working up with her one on one." And she ended up becoming she ended up getting awarded most improved student, and that was just, man, simply applying the strategy I learned in behavioral health workplace. Look, we all like to work hard, hopefully. And if we don't work hard, we know the money's not going to come. Then we know that the rewards are not going to come. And we all like to play hard. Who doesn't like to go out there and do what they prefer to do every day? So made that a reality. And same time, ASU offered that ride, and I took on the Arizona Teachers Academy, which is a great program for anybody that has any type of background. They now offer it through the junior colleges, which is awesome. Um, to get your teaching certification. So from there, the following year, I became a emergency sub at Apollo High School, um, and basically came in with like this going off of life experience. Was given like a caseload of 20 for IEPs, but also ED kids, which are emotionally disabled. And so when I took on this role, usually they don't kind of give you 20 up front plus a whole different caseload of
That's a
students that you
lot.
have to manage. So
That's a lot, Flash. And for our listeners or viewers who may not be familiar, 20 may not sound like a lot, but every student needs, deserves, requires your individual care and attention and support. It. I appreciate you keeping it real. So they gave you 20 off the
so
bat
yeah, so I
and
ran
more.
the ALC, right? So the ALC was the learning center. So I would have students pushed into me. So students, we're talking about students that are playing on the varsity basketball team, to students that are just going to school, students a part of student council that need extra time to take, a test or finish their assignments in their, core classes. So I'd work with them, and then I also had a strategies class, which is where I had initially had like 10 students that were ED, but then they noticed maybe the connections that I was making with these kids, just building them up, working on their life skills, wanting to give them what I had, right? So they basically didn't give me a curriculum, which was fine with me. I'm a creative, so but I did want to make sure I was playing by the rules. And hey, you teach them what you want to teach, as long as they're getting what they need to have, and they have the opportunity to be in the seat in the classroom. So I said, okay, well, what can I give these kids? Um, Off bat, noticed the communication was minimal, especially with the younger generation. So I'm like, okay, we can turn this into a public speaking class. And I promise you, Ty, the gift in all of this, man, was I noticed like that I was really supposed to be where I was at. I mean, I was making an hour drive every day, each way.
Wow.
I
But
had students.
you were at Apollo. That's my neck of the woods out here in
Apollo High
Glendale.
School, man. Yeah, man. They I had a few students that had to move into a different class to advance forward, and I was at a PD for the first couple of days trying to get some game from the district or whatever. And they students had come to me when I had finally pulled back up and was back in full swing of everything, and like, look, we cannot go to this school if we don't have your class. Because what I would call on them to do, man, is I would put different quotes on the board. It could be do the right thing. Let's look at what that actually means for you, and how do we, make that applicable to what you're doing in your personal life, but also your student life, your job. Your school is your job. And so it was just kind of changing those mindsets and winning those mindsets, but then also having students come to me crying like, yo, like if we can't be in your class, we don't know what we're gonna do. I was like, okay, God, you really are working, because I didn't see myself as a special education teacher, to be honest with you. And maybe the counseling aspect, because of the recruiting opportunities, being a former football player, basketball player, that always inspired me, especially we're looking at, some of our people like my man Rich Paul, and some of those other guys in the sports industry as an agent. That was kind of like where I could kind of see myself on a high school level, maybe college level, but not as a special education teacher. So, that was something that I did for a few years. I then transitioned over to Chandler High School and worked at the Chandler Learning Center, which was a vocational program for 18 to 22-year-olds. And I know we paid you a visit, man, out at Mary Lou Foden, and you
Absolutely
showed major
loved it.
love.
Absolutely. That was surreal. I can't believe that was about a year ago as of this recording. It's
Yeah,
like I I I remember that well. Your kids were amazing. Seeing how much you mean to them was also incredibly inspiring. Tell us more about that role.
yeah. So at the Chandler Learning Center, I had to have my paperwork correct. So I was working in Glendale for the first 2 years, and that was 3 years ago, by the way, when we went to go visit H. That's how the fast time fly, bro. Because I've been in Casa. This is my second year in Casa Grande. Um, with the CLC, we call it the CLC Chandler Learning Center. I went in there, open mind, man. Had a veteran that had started this program at Basha High School with herself and another teacher, and it expanded to myself and a few more people. And so they were looking in brand new facility, state of the art. Over, I think they spent over like half a million, right? Like
Half
with the
half
money.
half a
Yeah,
milli.
yeah. So it,
Talk
it's
talk
it's
to
uh,
me.
it's
Nice.
about
Okay.
4 different programs in the Chandler Learning Center, and then there's an online program across the way. It's
Wow.
right next to Willis Junior High, um,
Wow. That's great.
and Bologna Elementary School. But nah, man, my experience there, Chandler humbled me because I had originally applied to Chandler before I went to go work in Glendale, making that commute. But they're like, look, you ain't got your credentials, so talk to us basically when you're ready. So shout out to ASU for that. Shout out to ASU for putting me in that position. So when I went in there, man, I kind of had to win some people over. It wasn't necessarily a hard thing because I love challenges. Being former football guy, always a football guy. And what I mean by that is there was limitations that I seen from afar, as far as working with the special ed mild to moderate population. So that's our kids with autism, Down syndrome, OHI, which is other health impairments and things that kind of limit them in the world, or I like to call it special abilities, things that make, how they see things may not be the same way that we see things, but they all have talent and gifts. And so, just different, things that I would implement at that school became something that I like really would say I can hang my hat on. And I'll tell you, like for me, I had to go and have those hard conversations with veterans that had 20 years in the game, dog. I've got 4 years at the time, and hey, look, this kid wants to be able to do this arm wrestling tournament in my physical education class. It's during your classroom time, but it's a Friday. It's a fun Friday. Can we do that? Oh, well, I don't understand. Blah blah blah. And shout out to the teacher. I'll shout out the teacher, Mrs. Mitchell, because she challenged me in a way that I took in receiving a well mannered way. I would say, I said, okay, if it's not during your time, I could figure out how to align it to where I'm bringing the population up with their spirits, but also as it relates to what the design of the program was. So every classroom had 5 to 6 mock businesses, examples being game store, the gym, the dry cleaners. And so all of this is supposed to provide them simulated practice. So that way, when they age out of the program or if they level out of the program, depending on how it works, every student is an individual. Um, it gave them those skills, right? But as I started to, kind of work there and get familiar with, what's going on in the sped world, um, I seen that, okay, these kids have that practice, but they don't necessarily have that practice with dealing with unexpected events, unexpected customers, unexpected interpersonal, communications that
Mm.
may not always be, hi, how you doing, friendly to them.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so
That's hard. That's hard to simulate, I would imagine.
Oh yeah. So what we started doing, started taking kids to job fairs, started taking kids into stores and having them introduce themselves in a
Really.
community
How did
where
that go?
Oh man, it was tremendous. I ended up placing over 25 kids in a 3-year span, um, which I'm working with special need population, mild to moderate. Um, I'll just say this: like I said, it was humbling for me to come in. I had professionals older than me asking me, "Man, can you help me get a job?"
Wow.
So, you
Okay, that's
that barbershop, man, is
student comes to
networking,
teacher.
networking, networking, man. So hashtag
That's
that.
for real. Yeah, and you've really embodied your dad's approach to networking, and I think so much of it is not, it's not a secret science. It's treating people well
Hmm.
and looking out for people. I've had a lot of people, believe it or not, I've had a lot of people cut my hair throughout the years, and your dad just something special about him, man. I don't know if it's because he gave me the nickname Young Obama, or if it's because the game he gave me. I don't know what. I think it's a combination of all these things, Tommy.
Hey,
But your
hey,
dad,
he said, I want you to meet this cat. He's like President Obama.
is that what he said? Give me okay. Give
Yeah.
us the real. Is that how he laid it out to you
Yeah. So
before
no, he was
our
just like
payway
this
date?
young, sophisticated brother that
Wow.
man, is about around the same age as you, man, and y'all both are like minded. I call him President Obama, and I want to link y'all up. Even honestly, this past Monday, I don't know if he sent you a message, but he said he was gonna send you a message because
He
I
did.
had let him know, like, look, I'm about to link up with Tyler,
Yeah,
and do an interview, and
he did.
uh, look to bring them out this way, to catch the grand and bless the kids out this way, and look at some other opportunities. Like, man, y'all got to get a show together.
Mhm.
So, you know, um, man, he holds you to a very high regard, and that's because it's who you are, brother. You come
I
from
appreciate you.
a great family tree as well. Shout out to your people for real. Um,
Appreciate you. Very blessed.
and I gotta
Very
ask
blessed.
you, man. I know your grandfather had the barbershop.
Yeah.
I seen a couple of pictures of young Tyler back in the day. Uh, what was that like for you, man?
Oh man, it's I appreciate you asking. It was everything. So distance was a little bit tough because he was in New Jersey and we ended up moving out here. So I didn't get to spend as much time with him as I would have liked. But to your point about seeing your dad and me thinking about my grandfather, seeing the entrepreneurial vision that he had, but also how rooted he was in community. Um, that was really inspiring for me. Is similar to your pops. My grandfather was just well known and well respected in the community. He literally influenced generations, and I think like subconsciously in some way that was an inspiration for me to pursue education,
Yeah.
was to be that figure, that community figure, hopefully, knock on wood, right? Like to be
No,
that
that's
positive,
what you're
to
doing.
be that positive community figure, to have a positive impact. I think that's what we share in common, Tommy. I'm thinking back to that payway conversation like over 10 years ago. I think even back then you and I were sort of laying the seeds for what is our legacy gonna
Hmm.
be? Like what are people gonna remember about us? And to me, it's clear that you're creating that legacy through your work, which makes me so happy. So I have a follow-up question for you on that. I think
Tell us. Shout out to Grandpa's, man. What was Grandpa's barbershop?
oh my gosh, man, it was McDowell and Sons Barbershop.
Dallas Science.
McDowell and Sons, Patterson, New Jersey. Those photos that you saw, I may have even sent you some back in the day. Those were actually posted on the Library of Congress. It's like an
Mm,
official. If you Google McDowell and Sons, New Jersey barbershop, there's a digital footprint. It was apparently it was the spot back in the day.
man, so is the shop closed now, or?
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, no one. There were some talks about some of his sons, some of my uncles taking it on, but one of my uncles is now the pastor at the church that my grandfather. So that was the thing too. My grandfather was a barber and a pastor.
Yeah,
It's just what can't this guy do? So nobody continued the barber, the beauty
but that
industry,
goes
but
hand in hand.
it goes hand in hand.
My bad. I gotta grab some
Yeah.
water really quick.
Oh, you're good. You're good, brother. I like you did that. You did that so smoothly as
We
well.
got a little standing desk.
With the little okay, I got you. But I want to ask you, Tommy, about now being in Casa Grande and a common theme that I've discovered through speaking with our guests on 4AZ and other folks in my life is that the idea of becoming an educator, it is very community minded. It is working with students, whether that's dozens or hundreds of students every day.
For sure.
But I think the profession can also be isolating at times if you're not careful. When students leave, maybe you close the door, you don't really find community on campus. So I want to know for you, thinking about Glendale, Chandler, and now Casa Grande,
Yep.
how have you been able, or have you been able to find a sense of community amongst your staff? Are there staff who look like you at your school site, at your district? For even folks who don't look like you, have you been able to find those people who you can really count on and develop that community at your campus?
Well, for sure, man. So that's a great question, and it's a loaded response. Um, but in simple, it's a yes and it's a no in certain regards, but more yeses than nos, if that makes sense. And the nos are more about what we've gone through. I'm sure, especially for somebody like yourself, growing up in that. I grew up in a blended family, but you grew up biracial. You know what I mean? And that I'm sure that's a conversation.
So we could go into we could go another 30 just on that topic. I don't know. I don't know if we're ready. No, yeah, 100%.
No, man. So, I originally, I was working in Chandler. This is 2020, as we're going through the pandemic and it's kind of coming and finding its way and, hopefully gone. It's not gone forever, but we know that it's in a much better state. Um, and I was like, yo, God had sent us this way to buy a house. And my wife and I and our son and our, young daughter at the time had no interest in all, brother. Casa Grande. I was, growing up in Tucson,
Let's
living in different states, California,
yeah, let's
Texas.
let's keep it real. It's a growing community,
Mm.
but my understanding is there's not a lot of not a lot of us out there.
Well, it is a rural area.
Is it more than we think?
So it's very similar to Tucson in that regard, if that makes sense. There are, black and brown out here, and actually that's, in comparison to the areas that I was also scoping out before I made a decision on with my wife on purchasing a home was, hey man, we all experience DWB, driving while you black. I have, and that's stories. But just to make it relevant, man, I have young kids and I seen black and brown, so I thought the community was okay. I can, kind of deal with this in comparison to, some of our communities in the East Valley, super far east. I'm talking like Santan, which actually is a part of Pinal, which is the same county as Casa Grande.
Wow. And I didn't even realize. I think Casa Grande probably has more diversity than those East Valley
For sure.
spots, right? Like Chandler,
Sure.
Gilbert. No shade on
I
that,
felt
but
just a little bit more comfortable seeing
yeah,
as I came out here, like, and actually like immersed in the city, not
right,
necessarily bought a house, but just shopping for a house.
right.
And then now working in the schools, I was like, man, if I got a house out here, I'm working in Chandler at the time where I'm just recently bought the house. We just had our third child at the time, Rosalia. And I was like, yeah, I got younger kids. I gotta look at the long term. I gotta see if this is somewhere that I actually, we're invested. So we got our, first home in Casa Grande, brand new too, by the way. Shout out to God.
Come on.
But
That's a big deal.
I was like, yeah, I gotta really see if this is something that I want to stick to, like out here, as far as living in Casa Grande. So I applied for a summer opportunity, and they didn't have anything special ever related at the time. So, using that mouthpiece, man, that barbershop mouthpiece, I was like, look, I can do, these subjects too, blah, blah, blah. So they ended up hiring me as an English 11 teacher for the summer school. And initially, when we talk about identification, she's no longer here, but Dr. Anna Battle was the first person that I met when I, went in for my first day at summer school. And she let me know, hey, young brother, she's a, sister that went to ASU. She ran track.
She's on the track team. That's right.
She was a part of the Olympics, and I think I'm not even just back in the day. I was going to say back in the day, but very much in shape still to this day. She's now in Roosevelt School District.
Yeah,
But Dr. Anna Battle handed me her card, and she was a black woman with power, and I seen the opportunity to where, I can network with a superintendent. Whereas in Chandler, it's a totem pole. We're talking about elementary school district combined with a high school district that has close to 4,000 to 5,000 at the bigger high schools. You know what I mean?
It's
So
huge. It's huge.
I'm just a
It's
number.
got to be up there. I know Mesa is number one, but I feel
Yeah,
like Chandler. I think it's like Mesa, maybe TUSD, Tucson Unified. I feel like Chandler
Chandler's
isn't
up there.
isn't too far off.
Yeah, Chandler's definitely up there. And so I mean, Chandler was giving me opportunities to move forward, and I was paying my dues and getting my credits. I just didn't want to wait forever to move up, man. So I was
These are
like, oh,
decisions that have to be
let's see
made.
what's up.
Yeah.
Let's see what's up. So my principal is actually a sister too.
Ooh.
So I gave that
What's
story.
that like? How does that feel?
So I met Dr. Battle and I held on to her car, but then I also met Mr. Danzy, who's the principal for Vista Grande High School, which is a newer school, not as new as the brand new school that I currently work for, Pace.
That
Uh,
pace. Mhm.
Mr. Danzy was like, look, dude, we're looking for young brothers that, want to make a difference with this community. And we ended up setting up a meeting, and man, that meeting was supposed to be 30 minutes. It was like 4 or 5 hours. So, and it was fruitful, and it was, a lot of fruit to harvest, so to say. So I was explained to him, this is my vision for myself. You got an athletic director role. You got what you got. Well, he's like, look, I just hired an athletic director, but you can have any position, SPED, English, whatever, at my school or at Casa Grande Union High School. Unfortunately, this experience, and as a community, we experienced a tragedy with a young cheerleader
I
being
heard
shot.
about that.
That was a tragedy. The community still hurt, and I'll share information about an upcoming event that we're looking to put together to just bring some spiritual healing to the community. It's a music fest, open mic, open cipher, February 20th. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now.
Please, please
We need
do.
to bless the mic, Tyler. But so
We're gonna get you on the mic too. We haven't talked about that. I
you
remember
already
your
know. You already know.
I remember your music days, Tom. You're being humble.
I just
You did
press
the school
pause, man. I just
you
press
did the
pause.
school thing, you did the football thing, but you were also you were an MC too.
Oh, for sure, for sure, for sure. But to go back to Mrs. Danzy, so
Yeah.
there was a few options to come on full time in the regular school year, and the opportunity to open up a brand new school was presented by Mr. Danzy. He's like, yeah, my wife's gonna be opening this brand new school. It's gonna be a game changer. Union really needs you because somebody like yourself, stature, color, and everything, they really needed at that school, and it was very evident. There's a lot of, unfortunately, the Union is kind of close to where I live, and you would think that the stories that you hear as an educator, that the school's in the hood, and it's really not. It's not a bad area. It's just changing that mindset, shifting the narrative, man. Nothing that I'm not familiar with growing up in South Tucson, Sunnyside High School. Um, Mrs. Danzy, came in for an interview and shared who I was, and I feel like God has blessed me to have that mouthpiece, and every interview that I've pretty much have done, I've scored. Hey, we want you to come in right now. Can you come in? Or, we were going to wait for a couple days or go through the process. So God has shown so much favor, and I had some time to think about it, like a 48-hour window, and I was like, why not? I'm a risk taker. So I'm like, what do I have to lose? I live out here and I have kids. So that was my why. Like, I want to see if this is something that I can see my family developing and growing in as I continue to flourish as an educator and, young entrepreneurial mind, man. So now, I did not open up a brand new high school the first year. The first year that we worked together in 2022, 2023 school year, I ran an online program called Innovative Occupations Virtual Academy with the understanding that PACE was going to become a school opening up in a year or two. So it actually opened up this year. And, I wear so many hats, but God has shown so much favor to kind of tackle back to that question that you have about the community. So I'm part of the CG Alliance, which is Casa Grande Youth Alliance, where students have an opportunity to do town halls and talk and connect and fellowship. So that's underway, but also being a part of the district same building that our school is in. So our district office is located 1362 North Casa Grande Ave, Casa Grande, Arizona 85122. So when you come to our building, it's an old brick building, but the whole situation is two levels. It's being renovated. So we're currently in phase one, and district office is on the opposite side of the building. So eventually the school will take over once all phases are done. So it's phase one currently, and then we'll be phase three, which will cap at like 525 students. So
Wow.
the
It's
cool thing
growing.
about PACE, man, it's project based learning. So our students don't do
Tell us about
finals.
that.
They don't do finals. They don't do final exams. They do exhibitions. So they practice religiously their elevator speech, but also when it comes to semester in, we just finished our first one this past semester in December, where students presented themselves as 30 years from now. So the 30-year gala, they would come as their 45-year-old self, 46-year-old self, and share what their social change has been, what their social impact has been, and what they have done with their career. And come imagine dressed up as their 45, 46-year-old self. Um, so, I mean, this is changing the game with education, and it's allowing students to pick up on those public speaking skills that I see, like I said, from the jump with Apollo, man. I noticed that, and I grew up in a barber shop, so I'm biased, but communication is everything.
It
And
is. It
if we don't
is.
connect, we don't talk, we're not going to get anything. That was something that my pops always said, man, a quiet mouth doesn't get fed.
It's so
So,
true, especially now, Tommy, with technology. I'm not trying to be the old head in the room,
yeah.
but with technology, whether it's phones, laptops, I mean, students' assignments now are on
Sure.
laptops everywhere, every district, it would seem. You're right, though, that communication, that face to face, that those presentation skills, I would argue they're more vital now than ever.
Oh, yeah, man. And so, like, when Pops came in on Monday, that's a wayfinding experience. So our students have to master competency. So it's competency based education, along with project based learning and career focus and readiness. Um, so when he came in, students actually have a personalized learning portfolio that they have to complete, and the requirements here are, different than the other two schools that are in the district, where our students have to complete internships before they graduate. It's a requirement. It's not an option. And then students also have to graduate with a syllabi literacy, which means they're fluent, they can write and speak Spanish. So, there's some big things, but also some shoes where, we get an opportunity to network a little bit more in the community and see, what's real and what's not, And so I would say, man, we in Arizona. So the other side of, just as far as identifying, what we're up against is Casa Grande has that old money, right? And so there's, a committee of people that operate as a governing board. And so some of the challenges that we face do come from a political standpoint, of course. But I would say it's people like myself, and not just myself, the principal that I currently have the opportunity to work with, and others that are looking to look, this is where we live. We're invested in this community because we live here.
Mhm.
And we
That
want
matters.
our students in this community, not just the students that we're currently serving, but the students in the world to have these opportunities because education has changed so much. I mean, me and you both went through, programs that I'm sure, were hybrid at some point where, look, you got to log into your class virtually. You got to be able to show yourself just like we're showing ourselves
Right.
right now. So, I mean,
Exactly. It's
uh,
always evolving too. That's the one thing about education that's guaranteed. It's going to change. It's going to evolve every
yes,
year. New students. It's
yes.
the fun part, I think.
Oh man, I mean, I don't look at this as a job. Honestly, there are long days wear multiple hats. I signed up to be a counselor, but I also negotiated. Look, I know you need a PE teacher. I'm the sports guy anyways, and I work out anyway.
I could do
Let's
that.
see how we
I
can
could
add
do
this to
that for you too.
my contract.
I could provide that service.
Yeah, so no, I mean, I run a student council and yearbook as well, and they're like, look, we need a case manager. We need IEPs taken care of. So I'm in the process of working on IEPs. So have held meetings, and God is good, brother. I'm
Mm.
able to
All the
say,
time.
I die tomorrow, man. I know what I've done on Earth hasn't it made an impact. Not 25 years in the game or anything like that, but I know what I do. It's constructive. It's not like when I was selling shoes to women in Scottsdale. Um, I didn't really get anything out of it. Like I didn't get what are you doing to make a difference? What is your social change? It was more like I get a little bit of money. Girls
You're helping complete the
tell
fit.
me, yeah, I'll take you to do this. And I wasn't married or anything at the time. And
Listen, I got
Women
you.
come and treat you if you treat them, especially with their
Yeah.
feet. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, man. You know, it's all
Uh,
it's all real, man. I had opportunity to do a luncheon today with my son, and
oh, wow.
at his school, they do luncheons where you have an opportunity to bring in food and spend that time. So,
That's
you
love.
know,
That's
I'm
love.
grateful for the balance, man, that education provides. It provides me opportunity to still be a father and husband, but also, you know, be a difference maker. So,
Yeah, I know that means a lot to you. Well, I think that's a great way to prepare us to close, Tommie. This wouldn't be for AZ if we didn't have an exit ticket. So I
hey,
have some this or that for you for our exit ticket today. I'm gonna read a series of questions, and I would like to know who you're choosing.
for sure.
Let's get it kicked off. Drake or J. Cole?
Go.
Any reasoning behind that?
You know, Drake is dope. Straight up, Drake is dope. But I mean, I'm just rocking with J. Cole because I vibe with his music just a little bit more as far as his messages. Um, Not that Drake doesn't have any quality messages, but just my man. He didn't change his name so many times, but Most Def, we know him
Most
as Mo
Def.
Def.
Most Def.
I
Black
said
Star.
Drake had that Target music. I think Drake
Yes,
really has like
yes.
some soundtrack music in my life, if that makes sense. When I met my wife,
Oh,
um,
come on now.
that, that
That
was that was
resonates. Take care. Come
yeah,
on,
that was playing and that was
that was in
playing.
college when
J
Take
Cole
Care.
and Drake though, like
J.
in the
Cole.
morning.
Yep. That yeah, uh-huh. And now they're reconnecting, they're on tour. Okay, I'm not mad at that. I think actually probably a lot of our audience would side with you and pick Cole, Tommy. I got a few more.
Who you roll? You rolling with Drake? You rolling? It sound like you
I
rolling
gotta roll. I gotta
with
roll.
Drake.
I
We
gotta
right,
roll.
kill everything.
I gotta I gotta go with Drake. Unquestionably. Next one for you. Ken, I don't necessarily need your reasoning for these unless you want to tell me. Kendrick or Chance?
I'm a West Coaster, so I'm gonna go with Kendrick, but Chance is definitely dope.
Nicki or Meg?
Uh, Man, that's a toss up. I pick. It depends on what we talk. We just talking about music.
We're talking about everything. We're talking about the whole package.
Man, I'm
They're
gonna go
beefing
Nicki
right
Minaj.
now. Choose wisely. You go with Nicki.
I'm going with Nicki,
You're
man.
going with Nick. Okay.
One of my favorite songs. My daughters love the Barbie world and all that, of course. But Egyptian Hold You remix,
Tough.
constant repeat.
Tough. Final two for you. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill
Ooh.
or the Black Album?
You know, I got to go with the lady on that one. Black Album was definitely a classic. The Miseducation is a one and done though, and it's if there was ever an artist to have a one and done, the Miseducation of, you know what I mean.
Just
Lauren Hill all day. Lauren
it
Hill
was
still plays to this day.
still
Yeah. And Jay-Z definitely got major love too.
yeah.
But yeah, I gotta go with Lauren on that one.
I'm not mad at that at all. And then final one for you, my brother. We're gonna leave music because I know you love music, but you also get down with sports.
Okay.
Better Laker, Shaq or Kobe?
Mm. And you went to the kidneys. Let's see. I can make a case for both of them. If I had to pick one, I'm going Kobe. RIP to the Black Mamba himself. And then, we got the statue. Uh, it just was unveiled. Shaq though, man. Can I pick both? Shaq and Kobe. Shaq and Kobe. That's the answer.
Shaq.
Shaq and Kobe.
The,
Shaq
the
and
the
Kobe.
premise, Tommy, the premise of the exit ticket was you choose one. I may have to mark that incorrect on your exit
Look,
ticket sheet.
Shaq and Kobe, the coldest duo ever to do it.
Of course, that
The
was
coldest. I'm talking
nearly
over Jordan and
unstoppable.
Pimpin and anybody else. But
Over
yeah,
Pippen and Jordan. Wow,
yes.
wow. Okay,
You're not feeling that.
I
Who's gonna stop Shaq?
yeah.
I
Shaq.
know somebody has to go out and guard Pimpin, but I'm not as worried
Shaq.
as stopping Shaq.
Can we get Tony Kukoc? Is that a?
I
Is
mean, you
that?
want to do 3-on-3 greatest Lakers versus greatest Bulls, or will we?
That's it. See, you got me all twisted up, Tommy, because I'm a Suns fan. I'm out here defending the Bulls. I don't mess with the Bulls. I think you're right. Shaq and Kobe. Prime. You said it correctly though. Prime Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
He was just an anomaly.
I think the greatest big man, and there's a lot of great big men, of course, but nobody I think was this on people. So I mean, and then
Backboard, destroying backboards.
Kobe was what MJ was, just a modernized version. I feel like, you know what I mean. And Kobe the Afro, Kobe #8.
Afro Kobe. Come on now.
You know,
Tommie, this has been a beautiful, beautiful situation. I'm so grateful for you joining us. What is the best way for us to follow you, to connect with you, to show love? I know we got your Instagram here. Tell us where we can find you at.
for sure, man. On IG, Flashley_TC3. On Facebook, Tommie Clardy III. That's Tommie, last name Clardy, CLARDY III. And then you can also just tap in with us on the CGU HSD, Casa Grande Union High School District.org /PACE website. You'll find all, some information that connects you to me, and, come down to PACE High School, but also, anybody that's watching this and that wants to connect, I would love to, connect with you. My email that you can reach me at is Tommie Tucson 111. So that's Tommie, TOMMIE, Tucson, TUCSON 111. So 111@gmail.com. That's how we do that.
Beautiful. Well, that's a wrap. You can follow us at 4AZTeach on social, 4azteach.org. Please like, subscribe, comment, and all that good. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Peace and blessings.